Meter suggests that we can measure, and I'm not sure that I don't want to challenge that idea. So what do we mean by a measurable space? What is our relationship to measure? The whole idea of measuring. And I guess meter was this Enlightenment idea that you could somehow have an objective rather than bodily apprehension of space. And I think that's another myth. And in fact, I think this whole exhibition is a dialogue between, as it were, space as apprehended by the body and space as measured objectively. I would say that the majority of my work starts with a living body that is registered. There's a sense of which this living body has been stopped in its movement and fixed by a mould. And that has been, I would say, the kind of principal starting point. Can we make a registration of a human space in space, taking the body itself as a space, a place, rather than an object? And in this show, perhaps I've come to some mid-ground where I say, actually, maybe we can acknowledge the habitat that the human body finds itself in, architecture, what I call the second body, and find a place of reconciliation between the space, you could say the displaced space of a human body and the built space. And I guess I'm interested in using, you could say, the idea of scale as a subject in its own right. So here are things that, they're certainly not comforting domestic objects. They have the association of maybe in industrial installations. Cubic space of darkness that, as you maybe get to learn the language, you can see as a reference to a body, but it's a body that has been inflated. And I guess the whole show is a dialogue between scale taken as expansion from a given living body or a proportional enlargement. Plaster has always been associated in a way with a kind of transitional moment between, say, the fluidity of a clay maquette and the solidity of a bronze. And I like that provisionality, but I wanted to make that meant, used, purposefully. In relation to these, that are boxes filled with darkness. Well, they are like tanks. They're resistant. They are brooding. They have a kind of protective, keep you outness. And in a curious way, the dialogue between the ghostly and the absolute that is of interest to me in terms of the relationship between plasters and the tankers. Drawing between that they both share. They're like the skeletons. Sculpture has time, we have consciousness. We have the ability to move around, it has to stay in one place. And I think the trap is that the work is waiting for us and will continue to wait for those that have thought, feeling, freedom of movement. And you could say that the work is nothing, you know, the work itself is a possibility that hovers in time, waiting for us to apply our attention.